And you know, a lot of people have been talking about this, and it's really interesting. Is that he got caught in the middle between two women and just brought him down because his wife sued this chick, and if she never sued this side chick to try and show that she's the boss, that tape recording would never come out, and the Clippers would still be under the ownership of this fool. And a lot of people were, they're talking about, look, women will destroy you if you let them. Okay, like literally, they can be your best thing that you have or the worst thing you have. And for some reason, these fools, I just don't understand that. And they just, I got all this, and you got women just,
Hey. It's in our DNA, man. It started with Adam. It's in our DNA. We can't help it.
No, you can help it. You can help it. Put it this way: if you get the urge to take a dump, you ain't just gonna take a dump right there in your pants or in your seat.
It depends on how bad that dump is.
And you gonna go to the bathroom. You can control that. All right, it's an urge to release something. You an urge to release that dookie, but you can go to the bathroom and release it as opposed to just releasing it anyway. I'm just saying.
Hey man. When you 80 or 90, let's see what happens.
Man, I don't know how we even got there, G. But I just want to bring up something, man. Like the issue, or at least initially too, with me to kind of piggyback on what Drew and both Trav said, is that like one, we have an owner, like Trav said, the longest tenure owner here. Or in the league right now, who owns a team that's doing very well, right now in the playoffs and a legitimate contender, to win it all. It's very, very interesting to me that of all of the people that he had a problem with her taking a picture with, it was Magic Johnson. Now, Magic is not even just your run-of-the-mill black guy, right? Like if it was, for lack of a better example, Chief Keef, if it was Lil Wayne, if it was some of these other guys who, might not be as quote unquote recognizable or might not be, we'll just say as polished as a Magic Johnson. I don't want to say I would have understood because it still would have been wrong, but it is very interesting to me how his critique is of a man who is very, very, very not only popular with regard to just being a celebrity, but is a major figure. I mean, we're talking about arguably one of the top 5 basketball players ever to play the game, ever. And, also a person who has been very, he's been a philanthropist, not only in the city of LA, but in Michigan and other cities. I mean, he's done a lot for people, so for him to really get to this point over Magic Johnson, like it's appalling because we're talking about a guy who, let's just be real, he first came on the scene playing basketball. You know what I mean? So, and this is he had made money for, the Bus family who was also, rich, billionaires or whatever, doing the same thing that he's doing, coincidentally in the same city that he's doing it in. So it's just really ironic. It's really ironic to me how, all of this has come out. And under the guise of, basketball, but in reality, it just shows you how he really and truly feels. I was watching a report after I got home today, and I think one of the guys, I want to say it was Mitch, was it Mitch Albin from the Free Press, was on CNN, and he said if you know him, unfortunately, he said worse, that none of that was just recorded. And to Gene's point, I don't think he's the only one. One of the things I'm really interested in seeing as well is if the vote to, remove him from ownership of the Clippers isn't unanimous. You know what I mean? If it's not, who is it that votes, that doesn't think he should, leave? I think that should be public information as well. Anything short of a unanimous vote to me, it raises, my concern level to another level. But
and I was going to ask, I don't think that it's going to be public knowledge. I don't think the vote will be public knowledge. I think, especially if it's not 100%. If it is everybody who says it, I think they'll be blasting it out of there. But if they just say, they come out and they just say, hey, we had the votes, and we had enough votes that he is being voted out. Blah blah blah. That would tell a lot that somebody in there didn't want to vote that way, and we don't know who it is, but they're just not gonna say it. What you gonna say, Drew?
I think it's gonna be unanimous, and I think they're gonna put it out there. I don't think even if they do feel that way, because that stuff can easily leak, and someone will get a hold of it, and I don't think anyone wants to take that chance, and they're probably monitoring all their phone calls now and everything. But when people grow up that way, feeling that way about people, that stuff don't never go away, especially after he made his own way and he worth billions of dollars and stuff like that. That hatred is just carried down. That's why, people want to sit up here and say that racism it no longer exists. Couldn't be more further from the truth.
Right.
Because that hate is hard. And there are people out here, as long as there are people out here still teaching that to their grandkids and their kids teaching it to their kids, it's still going to be around. And they still going to think that black people or minorities or whoever are lesser than them, when that's not the case. Even if you're Magic Johnson and you make hundreds of millions of dollars and own billion-dollar teams, you're still
let me say this.
What I think is interesting, also, my bad, Nate. What I think is interesting also is everybody keeps saying that, it was no surprise to them, and this is how he always been. And, okay, well, number one, why nobody ain't say nothing or do nothing before, number one. And number two, that also probably goes to show you why the Clippers never did anything before and why people left the Clippers. Because it's been a long time and the Clippers ain't really did nothing. I think they won, since he's owned it, they won, two playoff series or something like that. One or two?
In 30 years.
A series? They the Lions of basketball. You think about that, the Lions of basketball.
G, I'm glad you brought that leads into the next topic is the media reaction and how everybody started. First off, everybody was upset. Twitter exploded. It was everywhere, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is no place." Blah blah. And then all of a sudden, you started hearing multiple people come out, and they just kept saying it wasn't a shock to me that this guy did this, and it shouldn't have been a shock to everybody because he has all this history of blah blah blah. Well, if it shouldn't have been a shock to you guys, how come you guys didn't report on it? How come you guys haven't talked about it? How come you guys sat back and allowed this filth to permeate through the NBA? Why? And Stephen A. was talking about it the other day, and he was saying that that Donald Sterling came down, shook his hand, and said, "I'm a fan of yours." Blah blah, this that, and that. And then Baron Davis came over to him and said, "Hey, do you know about this guy? Do you know about his history? Blah blah blah." And then that's when Stephen A. Found out about Donald Sterling. My point is, everything I've always heard about Donald Sterling and the Clippers owner is that he's cheap and he doesn't want to play players. That comes off every time when somebody was talking about Donald Sterling. No one ever said that he was racist. No one ever said that he doesn't care about his players. He just treats them like crap or whatever, or his staff. Elgin Baylor sat there for 22 years working there, and then as soon as he gets fired, he wants to turn around and say something that this guy, he ran it like a plantation. What? Damn it, why are you staying on a plantation for 22 years? That doesn't make any sense. So, and that's what I think it is. Me about that. Go ahead, Drew.
But you know what I think it is? I think it all boils down to that money and that power. And they knew how powerful he was, and they knew how much money he had. And even yesterday and today, Jamel Hill and a couple of other commentators or reporters on ESPN were talking about how they wrote articles in 2009 or 2011 about this guy. And, him being, having racist tendencies against his people that rent from him.
Yeah.
So, his tenants. So, I don't think it's like people didn't know or people were ignoring it. It's just that because of who he is and what he owns and I guess the power that he has, all that stuff always got swept under the rug. The only people that can bring down people that powerful are people that powerful. And he just brought down himself.
No, I think the public.
Well, his side chick brought him down.
I think LA knew. I think some people in LA knew about it, or they kind of knew about it, but I don't think the rest of the world really knew about it. Because if they knew about it, they would have said something.
Right, but what I'm saying is there were reporters that were trying to put that out there about him. There were people that reported on it. It just never went anywhere. Because people don't pay attention to stuff like that.
I'm gonna tell you why.
But what he said was so outrageous, and they couldn't be ignored. This is the fallout from it. Well, anytime people like this are accused of something, it always gets swept under the rug. It's never a big deal or whatever. But once it comes out and it's undeniable, like you have recordings, it's impossible for you to not report that. It's impossible. It was impossible for none of this to not happen because of what he said and because of the team he owns and the people that play for it and the people that coach for it are of the color that he's talking about.
Right.
Talking
bad about. They can say that he's cheap. They can say that he has racist tendencies. He has a black cloud over him right now about how he treats these people. Go ahead, Gene.
Well, I'm gonna say something. Basically, the reason it's two reasons I think. Number one, the media allows us to find out what they want us to know. Number one. Number two, social media was not around or is not as big back then when a lot of that stuff came out.
Right.
So now, I mean, information travels quick now. You just don't have to rely on the news anymore. You just don't have to rely on even, the Inquirer or the Star magazine, those little, those type of papers anymore.
Tabloids.
The tabloids. Huh?
Who relies on the Inquirer?
It's a lot of stuff that come out in the Requirers that's rumors. That's what I'm saying. That's rumors that if you could slip some information out through them,
hey, man,
the Inquirer is just not all just.
Said that Barack Obama and Beyonce are having an affair. That's the type of stuff.
Yeah,
man. I can't. That's y'all.
Well, what I'm saying though, like if you take this and put it back 10, 15 years, TMZ would have been looked at as the Inquirer. That's what I'm saying.
That's
so that type.
Yeah.
So that type of stuff. Information can travel quick, and you don't have to rely on the newspaper or the news channels anymore. I mean, you can throw something on Twitter and it's gone. You can put it on Facebook or whatever, and the information is going to be out there, and people are going to spread it. It's spread by like wildfire because of social media, not because of not even just because of TMZ. Everybody passed it along. That's what happened.